What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Busy Dad's Board Gaming. My name is Neil Odette, and today I'm going to be taking you through a solo playthrough of Silicon Saga, designed by Matthew Houston and published by Rusted Gear Games, who was actually kind enough to sponsor this video. So, let's dive right into it. Okay, so here we are set up for a solo playthrough of Silicon Saga. Normally with a cooperative or competitive game, the mission is to gather as much silicon as we can and make it back to the hangar tile before time runs out, which is at the end of 10 turns when the Atlas, the ship you arrived on, will depart without you. However, in a solo game, your whole mission is to, number one, play as Asha, the navigator, because she is the best in terms of discovering the ship. And number two, your other objective is to discover the entirety of the ship. So we have the stack of ship tiles over here to the side, just off camera. We also have the skill library and the skill index. If you have any questions as to what any of those are, I did a how to play video that you can check out. It goes rather in depth with regards to all the mechanics that you're going to find in the game. Off to the left, we also have a token supply, and to the right, you can see our crew level track, tile effects board, and just off camera, we have the gear, survivor, event, and search decks. So with all that being said, let's dive right in and start exploring this ship with Asha. First phase, we jump right into the crew phase. A lot of things are skipped on the first turn, i.e. your free search. You do a free search every turn, which gets skipped while you're on the hangar tile. So we're gonna go right into drawing skill cards and recovering actions. So at level 1, we get 2 skill cards and 3 actions. So 2 skill cards and 3 actions. So right off the bat, I'm gonna start just exploring as best as I can. So we're gonna go Rebellious Spirit, which will allow us to move 1, and we're gonna move up into this space here, drawing the top tile of the tile stack. So there's only 1 door to go in here, so we will go ahead and place that. Get all the necessary search tokens on that and move in. As well, we do get to put a white passive marker in our bag for later use when dealing with threat and survivors. So that was action number 1, reduce our actions by 1, and it doesn't look like while in the vault we can go anywhere. That's the only way in, only way out. So as the entire premise here, or the entire goal, is to search the entirety of the ship, we are going to get out of there ASAP. But first things first, as the vault is a purple colored tile, or the name is purple, there is a specific effect for that tile. So the vault, the first player to enter the inner space on this tile receives 1 gear and 2 silicon. So if we were to get to this space, we could get some gear and silicon, but that is not what we are after here. So with the next action, I'm going to go ahead and play combat training, which will give me 2 experience in the recovery phase and allow me to move twice. So I'm going to move back out 1, 2 into the hangar and stop there. So that's going to reduce my actions to 1. And at the moment, unfortunately, I am unable to do anything else in the crew phase in terms of moving around or doing anything like that that's actually useful. So I'm going to go ahead and pass. And when you pass twice, you reduce your actions to 0 and carry on with the next phase, or the next person in turn order, depending on how many people you're playing. So after the crew phase, we immediately move into the threat phase. And in the threat phase, all you do is increase the level of threat for the specific threat that you're playing. So Siren again in this case. And on threat level 1, nothing happens. We remain pretty safe. After the threat phase, we then go into the recovery phase, which allows us to do 2 things with the experience that we gained. So we gained 2 experience from playing combat training on the explore side. If we had played Rebellious Spirit on the engage side, we would have gained an additional 1. However, we did not. So overall, we get 2 experience, which is exactly what we require in order to level up. So we increase our level by 1 to level 2, which allows us to draw 3 cards and recover 3 actions at the start of each crew phase. After that, with your experience, you can go through the skill index and spend the amount of experience that you earned for a skill card shown in the top right of the corner. So I only gained 2 experience, so the only thing that I can really do is gain either regroup or close combat. So as this is a mission, or my goals are to move as quickly as possible through the ship, I think I'm gonna go with regroup, which will allow me to gain even more experience when played and move around the ship a little bit more freely. So we'll grab the skill library and we'll find regroup throughout those, and that will get tossed into our discard pile in order to use later on. We'll then move into the end of round cleanup, which is just discarding any survivors or threats that you came across during the crew phase, any skill cards that were used, and if you used any gear that could have been broken through the use of it, you roll the gear die or the crew die in order to find out whether or not that gear breaks. But for right now, all we do is toss our used skill cards to the side and then carry on with the next crew phase. So again, because we are back on the hangar tile, we miss out on our free search. Not a big deal, because I don't want to be running into any survivors. I don't want anything bogging me down in terms of movement, so that's not too bad. But we'll go ahead and recover our 3 actions and draw 3 skill cards. Let's see what we got here. Access hollow point. So I think I'm going to use that one right off the bat. It says when revealing a new tile, reveal 2 tiles. Choose one to place at the door you just passed through. Place the other at any unconnected door. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. So I reveal 2 tiles. So we've got the medical bay as well as the hydroponics lab. So I think I'm going to go ahead and place, they're relatively similar. You know what, I'm going to place this one, the medical bay. This is a purple room, so it does have a specific tile effect. The medical bay, while on this tile, you may spend 1 action and discard a food to heal 1 wound. We don't have any wounds yet, so no big deal. And then I'm going to put the hydroponics up here. So we'll then go ahead and place our search tokens in all of those spaces. And because it was move 1, first and foremost, we're going to move into that tile and immediately have to search that space. So we'll grab a card from the search deck, and it looks like we've gained 2 fabric. So we do have a fabricator in the room here that can be used as an action in order to draw 4 cards from the gear deck, and depending on the amount of components needed to craft any of those 4 gear, you can craft as many as you want, so long as you have the components. But again, I don't want to be getting bogged down with anything like that, although gear could be helpful in the long run. Right now I am just running as fast as I can through the ship to explore as much of it as possible. So the next one I'm going to do is, I think it was between straight shooter, which allows me to move 1, and then lunge. So I'm going to go ahead and go lunge. So that's going to allow me to add a marker, a hostile marker to my bag for later on. You'll see how those work potentially. And move 2. So I'm going to move back into the hangar, and I want to try and keep as close to the hangar as possible, not venturing too far outwards. And then I'm going to use my straight shooter for my last action, which will put me down to 0 in order to move 1 into this area here. And we've got engineering bay. So with the engineering bay, while on this tile, receive 2 times the number of any components gained. Okay, so that's not bad. And right off the bat, I think I'm going to enter it. I'm going to enter it this way, so that I am going to pretty much search right away. So I'll put a search token here and 1 here. However, that one will get searched immediately. And we actually uncover an event. So we're going to go ahead and draw the top card of the event deck and see what happens. So, you open a locker belonging to some nameless crew member. You find a backpack full of brim with unopened candy bars. Sorry, full to the brim with unopened candy bars. So this event is dependent on the player or the character that you're playing. So in this case, I'm actually playing Asha, as depicted by the symbol on this bottom selection here. And it says, these are your favorites. These are your favorite. Let's pocket them for later. So we actually find 2 food, which is helpful because food can be given to survivors in order to have them trust you. And it can also be discarded in order for you to gain additional actions. So those can definitely be useful later on. But that is it. We are finished with the crew phase. We used our 3 actions. So we're then going to move on to the threat phase, which is increasing the level of threat by 1. Again, for Siren, threat level 2, we're still okay. Next threat level, where it's going to get a little bit dicey, where we'll actually have to face off against Siren. So not a big deal for right now. We're looking pretty good. We'll then go into the recovery phase. Unfortunately, I only gained 1 experience, so I'm not going to gain a level, and I'm not going to be able to add any additional skills to my deck. So we'll go to the end of round cleanup and discard our skills used that turn, and then move right on to the next crew phase. Okay, moving on to the next crew phase, because we are not, in fact, on the hangar tile, we do have to perform a free search first and foremost. So we perform a free search, and we have another event here. Here we go. The captain's voice crackles over the radio. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I've got company up here. I'm picking up 2 incoming peacekeeper ships. We're going to have to leave a little bit earlier than planned. Move the threat level up by 1. Ignore any effects except for adding advanced survivors to the survivor deck. Wow, so we literally just lost an entire turn based on that event. Not looking good. But that is our free search. We're going to go ahead and recover our 3 actions and draw our 3 skill cards. So we got 1. We'll give a reshuffle of our skill deck. 2, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and advance over to this search token by 1. The reason I'm doing that is I could move 2, but if I wanted to search this location, once you move on to a search location, you lose any movements that weren't used, and you have to stop immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and move 1, which will actually gain me 1 experience towards the end of the round. Search that location, which gets me another event. This is not going to be turning out too good for me here, I think. Your stomach growls. You suddenly realize that you didn't eat anything before the mission. How could you have been so stupid? So based on the crew member that I'm playing, it says you'll have to eat something. You feel like you have barely... Sorry, you'll have to eat something. You feel like you have barely any energy. Discard 1 food or lose 1 action. So I do have food. I will go ahead and discard that. and I will reduce my actions for playing the advance card. Okay, from there, carrying on, trying to get through here as fast as I can before my ship leaves without me. I'm going to go ahead and play combat. You know what? Nope, I'm not going to play combat training because that's going to give me 2 moves. And if the next move ends up being a search token, I'm going to lose one of those. So I'll go ahead and play Rebellious Spirit, which allows me to move 1. Grab the next tile, and we'll place it right here like that. And then we'll place the search tokens like so. So it actually would have ended up being better to play the other card, Combat Training, in order to move 2, because then I could have done 1, 2, stop my move there, and then 1 there. So I'm basically going to be losing 1 movement for this turn. But we managed to find a survivor's camp. If we take a look. When entering this tile, immediately encounter a survivor. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how that's going to work out. We grab a survivor, and we've got a mother and child. So we'll play that here, just to the right of our explore cards. And as we do have 1 more action, there are some things we can do here. So if we get the mother and child to trust us, or we intimidate them, in both cases they require 2 trust or 2 intimidation, we get rewarded with 1 ammo. If we're unable to do that, we lose 1 food. So what I'm actually going to do, rather than use one of my actions to gain trust with these individuals, I'm going to give them a food, which doesn't require an action, and immediately gains 2 trust. So I would then essentially finish that encounter. But first, I did forget, you do have to engage with the survivors by playing an engage survivor card. Just letting you know that you are in fact engaged with them. So I gained 2 trust with them, resolving the encounter and gaining the reward of 1 ammo. All right, since I use food which to gain trust with them, which costs 0 actions, I do still have 1 action. And I am going to use that to move. So I am going to lose out on 1 move. I'm going to play my combat training, which allows me 2 moves. I'm going to move up here, which will end that move, and I'll lose the additional 1 and search that space. And we find 1 silicon, which will get added to our backpack. Okay, that's the end of the turn. We're then going to go into the threat phase. So because we had that event that moved our threat phase up by 1, and we didn't have to suffer the consequences of whatever was on that level, we actually missed out on an encounter with Siren, which is pretty great. We're then going to increase it to level 4, which has us adding advanced survivors. So at the beginning of the game, during setup, you set advanced survivors to the side, and this is the point we're going to add those to the survivor deck. So it takes more to intimidate or kill them or have them trust you, but you get better rewards or potentially suffer greater setbacks. So we're going to add those in. Easy enough. And then we're going to move, and that's the threat phase, and then we're going to move on to the recovery phase. Now, for the recovery phase, I do have 3 experience that I gained from playing both Advance for 1 and Combat Training for 2, which will give me a level, which still keeps me at 3 cards and 3 actions. Level 4 will get 4 cards and 3 actions, so it doesn't change anything there. But we do have 3 experience to spend on a new skill. So I think I'm going to take Dodge because 1, it provides me with an experience. Either Dodge or Charm. Charm will provide me with 2 experience. Yeah, so Dodge will provide me with 1 experience. It allows me to move 1 and gain 1 action. So you basically get to play it for free, more or less. Whereas Charm gets me 2 experience, allows me to move 1 and gain 1 card. Tough choices. I think I'm going to go with dodge, actually. So that's the skill index. We'll grab it from the skill library. Dodge, I said. So that's going to go into our discard. And then we'll move on to the end of round cleanup. So any encounters that were resolved successfully will get removed from the game. We'll just toss that to the side. Our skills are discarded along with the one that we purchased. And our engage cards, either engage survivor or engage threat, get returned to our hand. And then we'll start on to the next crew phase. Okay, so the next crew phase, we will perform our free search action, which has us encountering a survivor right off the bat. And it is an advanced survivor, so we need either 3 trust or 3 fear. Otherwise, we suffer the setback of dropping 2 silicon and missing our next turn. If we are the rewards for completing it, we get 1 electrical component, 1 fabric, 1 metal component, and 1 experience. So not bad. We'll see how we make out. But we'll encounter that survivor, so we'll place our engaged survivor card next to that, and then engaged cards will be played to the right for their engaged side. That was our free search. We'll recover our 3 actions and draw our 3 skill cards. And hopefully we have some stuff in here that will help us intimidate or gain the trust of these individuals. So, I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to go ahead and play laser blades right off the bat, which will allow me to either wound or give 1 intimidation. So since you can't wound non-hostile survivors, I'll give 1 intimidation for a total of 1. We still need to do 2 more. Unfortunately, though, we are stuck in this position we are at. I guess I could play regroup, which is going to allow me to add 2 markers to my bag and draw 2 cards. So maybe on one of the 2 cards that we get, it will help us out to instill some fear or some trust into the survivor. Okay, so it could be helpful. So I'm going to go, sorry, I did use 2 actions, reduce that by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and play straight shooter. So that, again, adds 1 passive marker to my bag. And it allows me to perform 2 dialogues. So when you perform 2 dialogues against a non-hostile survivor, what you're going to do is pull a token from the bag, and depending on the token, it will tell you whether or not you gain fear or trust. So if it is one of your color, it is fear, but if it's a white marker, it's trust. So we gained 1 trust. Grab another one. We've got a fear. So we've got no actions left, but we have 2 fear and 1 trust. I'm going to go ahead and give this resourceful chef a food in order to gain 2 trust with him, which would resolve that encounter peacefully. So we would get 1 metal component, 1 electrical component, 1 fabric component, and will give us 1 experience for the recovery phase. So that is the end of our crew phase, because we have finished up with our actions. Now we move on to the threat phase. So for the threat phase, we're going to increase the threat by 1. And we are now at threat level 5, which says encounter siren. So at the end of the crew phase, I did forget, any skills that you have left get discarded. Okay, and now we're gonna go ahead and encounter Siren. So I'm just gonna go ahead and place this down here with the encounter threat card. So there is a specific setup for encountering Siren. When you encounter her, you increase, this is a group encounter, so if you're playing with multiple people, everybody can take part if they're able to. You'll increase your actions to 2, and you'll get to draw 2 skill cards. So Siren has a, we'll say, quote unquote, health of 3 in this case. So what we have is we can flee, which I think I'm probably gonna do, because with fleeing you're able to get out of the combat, or with a threat, or with a survivor, without suffering any of the negative effects. So that's certainly a viable option, and since our whole mission is to uncover the ship, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go play dodge for 1 action, and it allows us to flee. And once we flee, the encounter is over, and any skill cards that you have left get discarded. So we've managed to flee from Siren for now, but she will come out a couple of times later in the game. So that's the end of the threat phase. We move on to the recovery phase. We got a total of 1 experience, which isn't going to help us with anything. So we'll move on to the end of round cleanup. So we'll take all our markers that we used, place them back on our board. Okay, Siren is going to go back on her threat board. You're going to take your engage cards back. Gear goes back into your hand if it doesn't get broken, which it does not in this case. The survivor we encountered and resolved peacefully or successfully gets taken from out of the game, and these skill cards go back into your discard pile. All right, so we're moving on to the next crew phase. First and foremost, we go on to our free search. Our free search comes up with ammo, so not that I'm using it right now, but you never know when it's going to be useful. Then we'll recover our 3 actions, and we'll gain our 3 cards. So 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get this show on the road. So combat training, move 2, 1, 2. And we end up in the cargo bay. So a few search tokens in here. And the cargo bay is a purple room. So we are going to see what effect that has. When discovered, place 2 search tokens on each search location on this tile instead of 1. All right, well, in that case, looks like we're going to perform 2 searches. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we'll move 1, get rid of those 2 search tokens. Our first search, it comes up with nothing, absolutely empty, which I'm not too upset about. And our second one, unfortunately, is a survivor who is going to slow us down a little bit. So let's see what we got here. And we have another resourceful chef. Rewards same as last time, and the setbacks same as last time. So we're going to go ahead and engage with the survivor and see what we can do to make him go away. I'm going to go ahead and play my straight shooter, which allows me to add 1 passive marker yet again to my bag, and perform 2 dialogue. So again, with the white one, we gain a trust. And another trust, I hope. I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, another trust. Okay. So we are down to 1 action. Unfortunately, I don't have another card that's going to get me more trust. But what I can do, although it's going to have no effect, is use my pistol. So I'm going to spend 1 ammo to use my pistol and do 2 strikes. So what happens when you strike with a non-hostile character is you pull a marker from your pool, but it has no effect. You just have to return it back to your board. So you're essentially just taking markers from your pool. The reason I decided to do that was because it rewards me with 2 experience. So with combat training, that's going to be 4, which is going to help me level up and gain some new skills in the recovery phase. So unfortunately, that is the end of the crew phase. I have 1 skill card left that'll get discarded, and then we'll move on to the threat phase. Increase that by 1, which luckily does nothing on this turn, and then recovery phase. So again, 4, which gains us a level. We'll now get 4 skill cards and 3 actions, and we get to gain a new skill card. So planned betrayal is going to help us move quite a bit. I feel like there was, oh yeah, there it is, humble approach. So humble approach also costs 4, which allows 1 movement and an additional action, so you essentially get to play it for free. So I'm going to go with humble approach. That's going to get added to our discard, and we'll move on to the end of round cleanup. So in this case, the survivor did not get resolved, so they stay on the ship, potentially to mess with us in a later turn. We'll return our engaged survivor card, get rid of our 2 skill cards, and here, because of the engaged side of the pistol that we used, we have to roll a crew die, and if it shows the busted gun symbol, we lose it. It gets broken, and it gets broken. So that goes in your broken gear pile, and you'll have to get to a fabricator in order to repair those. Oh, we have one here as well, but I don't know if I want to waste my time going after that. Those are some decisions that will have to be made, but we'll see. We'll move on to the next crew phase, which starts with a free search, and look at that, a survivor. And we are up against a paranoid officer who luckily is not hostile, but we will recover our 4 cards in this case. So 1, 2, 3, 4, hopefully help us deal with them, and 3 actions. And he's going to provide us with a ammo and food plus 1 experience, or the setback being 1 ammo and 2 search tokens. So let's see what we got. We have 1 that we can intimidate him right off the bat, which would be helpful, but we can flee, and you know what, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not messing around. I am getting out of dodge. So 1 action to flee, don't have to deal with them. I'm a little frightened to go through 2 more search tokens and have to deal with potentially more survivors, because at this point I've played my engaged survivor card. If I come up with another survivor, I'm not going to be able to engage with them, and I'll have to pass both times and suffer any setbacks on that card. So decisions. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more turns, and a few more tiles left. So it is not going to be easy to do this, and it is not meant to be. I'm going to chance it. You got to risk it to get the biscuit, right? So we're going to go with Rebellious Spirit, which allows us to move 1. I'm going to move up this way, get rid of these 2 search tokens, see what we got. No, another survivor. So as I mentioned, we have ourselves a young couple who are hostile, and I can't engage with them because I've already played my engaged survivor card. So I have to pass and pass again, which reduces my actions to 0, and I have to suffer the consequences, which are to drop a silicon, which will get placed on that space. That is incredibly unfortunate, but that's the way she goes. So we'll move on to the threat phase, increase the threat level by 1. That's it for the threat phase. We don't have any experience that we've gained for this turn, so we will miss out on leveling up or gaining cards. We'll go to the end of round cleanup, which neither of these were resolved, so those get shuffled back into the survivor deck. Skill cards used get discarded, and engaged survive card goes back in your hand. All right, next crew phase. Let's do this. We got it. We are going to perform our free search, which will get us some components. Good. I like it. And then we're going to recover our 3 actions and gain our 4 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. Let's do this. I was hoping to get a card that might be incredibly helpful, but we'll see how this works. So I'm going to play Regroup right off the bat. It's going to give me 2 experience. It allows me to unlock a door, which isn't necessary. That can be disregarded, and move up here, which I will do. So we'll grab the next tile, and we've got a crew quarters. So I'm going to go up this way. There are no tokens to slow me down, so that's not too bad. That's action number 1. Action number 2, I'm going to go combat training, which allows me to move 1, 2 into the next space. It's a dead end. The escape pod bay. We're going to move in there. Oh, brother. Okay, let's see here. Well, we have some search tokens to place, and unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna make it, because we will have to backtrack through quite a bit. I did run out of search tokens, so I'll just place a food there. And we have one more action, which I am going to, unfortunately, I was hoping to get 5 experience out of this, but I've only got 4, so I won't level up, but I will get to gain a new skill. So that's the end of the crew phase. Moving on to the threat phase. First and foremost, getting rid of any skill cards that were unused. Move on to the threat phase, and we are going to encounter Siren. So she is coming out to play. We get to increase our skill, or our action track, to 2. Gain 2 cards to hopefully fend her off, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But we'll try nonetheless. So first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and play Laser Blades, which does 1 wound out of the 3 that we require. And I will play Lunge, which will get me my 5th experience. And I get to draw 2 tokens from the bag. And unfortunately, white against a hostile entity is a miss, and your own color is a hit. So we did 2 hits out of the 3. Unfortunately, unable to defeat her, so we are going to suffer the setback, which in this case, all players, the player on your right places your melody token on any space 1 to 2 tiles away from you, if possible. You must spend your action moving towards the marker. You may not search until you reach it. Remove it once you reach it. Okay, so that's not actually too bad, because I am playing by myself. I get to place my own melody token. And I will place 2 tiles away, so I mean, I'll just go, since I'm going over here anyways, because there's no, oh no, there is an open door there. Ooh, that's a tough decision. I'm gonna go... I don't want to encounter those 2 search tokens, but I think I'm gonna have to. So I'm gonna go there, and that is all Siren had for me. We'll move on to the recovery phase. 5 experience, which gains me another level, allows me 4 actions and 4 skill cards. So fingers crossed, it's going to be tough, but we'll see what happens. We will return these markers to our board. So our bag is completely empty. There are no markers in there right now. Oh, nope. Don't do that yet. Recovery phase. 5 experience allows me to gain a card. Overdrive, no, that's 6. I think I'm going to take another humble approach. So that will now become available, or unavailable, sorry, because I've taken both of those. Okay. And then we'll move into the end of round cleanup, which we'll see Siren going back, all these cards getting discarded, and then we'll move on to the next crew phase. Okay, next crew phase. Because our melody token is out, we cannot perform a search, so we're not going to do a free search. We're going to go right on to gaining our 4 actions and our 4 skill cards. So 1, 2, 3. I don't know why my gear card's in there. 4. And let's get out of here. Oh, I did forget to discard Access Hollow Print, which is unfortunate. We'll just go ahead and get rid of that. So there's no qualms about how that would work. So, combat training. 1 action, 2 spaces, 1, 2. We'll then move with dodge, which adds a white passive marker to your pool. Allows you to move 1. We'll move on our melody token, which will get rid of that. And gives us 1 action, so essentially we get to play it for free. Then we'll go humble approach, which allows us 1 move and an increase in actions. So again, pretty much for free, but we're going to deal with 2 search tokens. Search number 1, 2 components, looking good. Search number 2, 2 ammo. I like it. Let's stay away from the survivors. Okay, so we still have 3 actions. Unfortunately, we only have 1 card left that's going to allow us to do anything. So we're going to place that to once per turn, spend 1 action to peek at the top 2 tiles. Return each either to the top or bottom of the stack. So I'm going to spend an action to do that first and foremost before playing advanced. We'll take a look at these 2 cards. Ooh, Research Lab is a dead end, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on the bottom. And I will place and put this one back on the top. I'll use advanced to move 1. So I will take the officer's quarters and move into that. So I have 1 action left. I don't have any cards that will allow me to do anything. So pass twice, reducing it to 0. And then we are going to go on to the threat phase. So threat phase, we encounter Siren once again. So we're going to go Siren. We'll just move these over a little bit to make way for some cards. Our threat, engage threat card. We get 2 actions and 2 skill cards to do battle with her. Well, unfortunately, we know for a fact if I play lunge, which allows me to do 2 strikes, we only have passive markers in the bag, which isn't going to do anything. What I'm going to do, though, is play Rebellious Spirit on its engaged side, which allows us to perform one dialogue, which with a dialogue in combat with a hostile entity has you draw one token. It has no effect, but you replace it back onto your crew member board. Allows us to gain one card, which we will do, and gain an action, so that didn't actually cost us anything. Unfortunately, I mean, we can wound her once, but it's not going to be enough. So I'm just going to have to go ahead and pass twice. I was hoping to get a card in which I could use it to flee, but that is not the case. So we're going to pass twice and suffer the setback, which is going to have us receive 2 wounds. So at the bottom of the skill library, we get 2 wound cards, and essentially what that's going to do is use up our actions, because anytime you draw one, you decrease your actions by 1, and then you discard it into your discard pile. That is Siren dealt with once again. More so her dealing with us, not us dealing with her, unfortunately. And we are going to move on to the recovery phase. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not just one shy of our final level, level 6. But we do get to search the skill index again. And I think, see, overdrive. If I had overdrive would be very helpful. I think I'm going to go ahead and with another dodge, which will make that unavailable. But we will get another card that will hopefully help us flee encounters should we need to. All right, we are into the cleanup, so we're going to go ahead and put that back in our hand. The skill cards that we didn't use against the Siren in that engagement will go to the discard. Siren will go back up, and unfortunately this is our last turn to do anything. I don't think we're going to make it out in time, but we'll go into the next crew phase, which will get us 2 fabric components, and then we will recover our 4 actions, our 4 cards. So 1, 2. Now there are wound cards in here, which will, could stop us dead in our tracks. 3, 4. Do we have any wounds? No wounds. All right, let's see what we can do here. Last turn, we'll give it our best shot. We'll go ahead right off the bat and play combat training. Go 1, 2 into the hologram bay. I will put it like this so I don't have to search right away. We'll get a couple of search tokens out there. 1, 2, and we'll use another food token. Hologram bay is when entering this tile, reduce your action track by 2. I guess we are enamored by all the holograms and decide to stay a while. So we have 1 more action. We'll play Humble Approach, which allows us to move and gain an action. So we'll move, search for a bullet. Lots of bullets, so little to spend them on. We'll Humble Approach again, which will allow us to move but not spend an action to get the shuttle, which ends up being a dead end. But while on the shuttle, flip this over. When discovered, place 2 white passive tokens on here. Done. From the box onto this tile. While on this tile, you may spend 1 action to remove 1 white marker and move this tile to another location. Connect the door of this tile to any unconnected door. This tile may only be moved while markers are available. So, I mean, it would allow us to move this around, which, I mean, isn't going to assist us too much at this point. We can go spend an action, our last action, to spend a marker and move this here, attached to the engineer bay. And then we move into the next threat phase because we're out of actions. And there you go. Threat level 10, the Atlas departs. We didn't quite make it. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles left. So not as easy as it looks, folks. Very impressed with this. I expected it to be incredibly simple to, you know, just uncover all the tiles. No big deal. But it is not that easy. There you have it. That was the solo playthrough of Silicon Saga. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified on any future videos. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Links for everything in the description below as well. Links to the Kickstarter campaign page for Silicon Saga, which releases on February 16th, 2021. Go check it out. Show your support. Great game. Having tons of fun with it. Hopefully I will be back with a co-op play very, very shortly, so be sure to check that out as well. But until next time, thanks for watching and happy gaming.